Hey everybody, this is David Skrika, stock chart of the day for Friday, um, November 24th. I'm doing this on the 21st, just so you know, but it's, we're gonna have a dead trading day on Friday before, Thanksgiving, and then it will be Black Friday. So first thing in the morning, I put this out. So, and because it is Black Friday, we're gonna talk about oil. So oil has really just been in this huge trading range, going back, to kind of like the financial crisis when it had that huge spike to 150, crash during the crash of 2008 to just over 30. Of course, had that negative print, back in 2020. But really, it's been this is a huge trading range, of course, because it's really been between about 30 a barrel and about 130 a barrel for really, the last 15 years roughly. So and the thing about the oil market is these companies can make plenty of money. We've seen, like, if we go look at some oil stocks, this is Exxon. Exxon's near its all-time highs here, even though oil's not at all-time highs. Of course, Exxon has other factors of their business. They run on those gas stations, so they make money when they sell sodas and food and whatever at the gas stations as well, because it's also a service-based company, etc. But you look at Suncor, Suncor again, like, is near its all-time highs, even though oil's nowhere close. One of my favorite little oil and gas companies, ATH, has been holding pretty steadily above 4, even with oil coming off from over 90 to the mid 70s, as of late. So, we can see, technology is improving, even though inflation's gone higher. And again, you adjust this inflation high in 2008, that's well over $200 now. And today's, currency, for oil prices. So, oil's basically, less than half of where it was at that top there. So you can see this here. And, oil companies have no problem making money when oil just went over 70 for a little bit in 2018, 2019, and, the last couple of years as well. So right now we're just in a big trading range. If we go look at like the shorter term of oil, we've seen it just come off here, and you can see it's got this nice support here in the $60 to $65 range. So it's probably a buy area you'll want to look at. But really, we're just in a big trading range. I think you really have to be a stock picker in oil, and buy the weakness, et cetera, et cetera. Of course, and I think, like, longer term, something that's going to be really supportive oil. This is the petroleum reserve, and you can see that this was created in the early 80s after essentially, the oil crisis as a way to for Americans, or the American government, to protect people against it. And you can see it had 270,000 barrels kind of when it was created in the early 80s. And they built it up all the way through the 80s, which was a great move, because they did it. A lot of this was built up when oil was, $10 a barrel. And then it got built up again in the 2000s in light of the Gulf War, and then kind of has stayed steady really till about, Trump really started to sell it a bit. And then where it really escalated, though, like you can see, the oil reserve was about 695,000 when Trump got elected. And then, Obama sold it off a bit in 2011, because that's when it hit its high. And then in 2020, it was 650 about. So 45,000 barrels, or about 7% of the reserve, was sold off under, 6 to 7% of the reserve under Trump. And then it really has accelerated under Biden. It has collapsed from about that 650,000 barrels to only about, it went as low as 346. And they've actually rebuilt it recently. They've bought, 5 million barrels back recently. So maybe they're finally done selling, but essentially, if you go look at 250 to 750, it's rough, let's do rough numbers. That's 500, that was 500 million barrels that were, like, built up. And essentially they've sold it off 400 of those 500 in the last 12 years. And sold off 300 of those 500, and out of those 400 they've sold, they've sold 300 in just the last few years. So this, I think, also will be a base for oil, because if oil were to, say, go down in a recessionary, deflationary type scenario, the government is going to sit there and kind of sop up some of that. And now they have to buy it back. So it's going to act kind of supportive to oil as well. So I think that, again, that was an extreme scenario in 2020 because, the whole global economy shut down for a month under COVID. That's not going to happen again, probably in our lifetimes. So more than likely, oil would be more than likely. If you go look at like these recent bottoms, that was mid 30s, the 2016, 2017, which had more to do with oversupply, was late 20s, early 30s. I would say that $30 to $40 area would probably represent the kind of low you're going to see in oil. And I don't know if we're going to go that low, like just because you have a recession too. Like if you look at the 2000, 2001 recession, oil, did go to below 20, but it had run up a lot. So it was kind of in the middle of its range. So maybe oil goes to 50. That'd be kind of the 50 to 60. That'd be the middle of the range here. Because not every recession, you can see 2019, oil spiked, went up, went right back down in the Gulf War, because that was part of the reason that caused the recession was that spike. So you can see oil didn't really like collapse, to new multi-year lows or anything. So I'm kind of looking at that kind of thing happening in the next recession, especially because the debts are so large in the US. We all know that the next recession is going to be met with more quantitative easing and money printing. So right now, oil, I'd say I'm kind of neutral on it. I own some of these stocks that have done well for me. I own a bit of Suncor, I own a bit of Athabasca in a family account, and I'm just kind of holding it. And I don't think it's that appealing here in the mid 70s. I think, again, if you got to the 40, 50 range, you might want to start really looking. But I think right now you can own it. I'm not overly bearish. I'm not overly bullish. We're kind of neutral here. And you can see the long kind of trading range it kind of has been in. And again, you can still make more. If you really know someone who really knows the sector, you can make money. Like if you go look at Suncor, like a longer term chart of Suncor, we'll get the Toronto chart because it's been listed in Canada longer. You can see Suncor in the 90s, and oil was doing nothing in the 90s. And go look what Suncor did, right? Suncor from, to 2002, 2003, Suncor went from a penny stock. These adjusted probably, there are probably a couple splits in here, but basically it went up 20-fold, from 50 cents to nearly $10 a share, right? So, anyhow, that's basically it. If we go look at this here, so you can make money if you find the right oil stock that's growing production, et cetera, et cetera. And so you can make money in the sector, but you have to know the sector really well. I don't pretend to be an expert on the oil and gas sector. There's only so many things one person can do. But yeah, I think the oil, again, I'm kind of neutral on it. I do think that government buying of the strategic reserve, because who knows, like maybe this is finally, go look at it. This thing was pretty steadily going down for a long time. So maybe this is finally the end. Like it really hasn't now gone down since about the summer, about 2 to 3 months time, which is positive, so maybe this is finally the end of that relentless selling in the strategic reserve. But them buying back at some point in the next 12 to 24 months will have that kind of buffer underneath oil. I would think only in 2008 or 2020 style kind of huge deflationary collapse that lasts 6 to 9 months is the only thing that could really send oil significantly lower from here. So I hope you enjoyed this. Happy Black Friday. Don't get yourself caught in a trample at Walmart trying to buy a big screen TV. If I do I live in the Bahamas, but even if I lived in the States, if I did any Black Friday spending, I'd be doing it, on the computer anyhow. So everybody take care.